Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR, the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about a couple of different topics, actually. One of them, obviously, the main title of today's episode is a judge finally struck down, or at least temporarily injunction. I'm not sure if it was 100% striking down. I think it was just injunctioning Ginther's bullshit, unconstitutional, totally breaks state preemption. Mag ban ordinance is supposed to go into effect in July. In Columbus, it was actually Delaware County judge did it. And then you also had some other stuff come up today, which is going to be the real meat and bones of this episode, which will be good old our, not Columbus, but Reddit, Ohio is what it is. Because, of course, some fucking stupid cunt thinks her opinion matters. I'm assuming it's a girl anyway. Could be a guy. Could be some douchebag dude that loves abortion and fucking wants to kill kids in the womb and hates guns and everything else like that. But I assume it's some bitch is what it is, dude. Because it usually is. It usually is these fucking dumb cunts that shouldn't have voting rights in this country, but yet they do. And they want to bitch and moan about stuff. And it's like, if you really want to bitch and moan that hard, pack your fucking shit and get the fuck out of my state, bitch. Because we don't need you here. We don't want you here. All it does is all your fucking vote does is go to some piece of shit fucking Democrat, like these scumbag ass criminals, Allison Russo, Casey Weinstein, Paula Hicks Hudson, all these fucking assholes like that, dude. All these oath breaking motherfuckers who should have already been in Ohio prison, by the way, at this point, for the amount of times that they've tried to deprive Ohioans of our constitutional right to keep and bear arms in the state. Not to mention the fact that every single time they've broken their oath to office, which is over a couple thousand at this point in the past 4 to 5 years, that all of them have been in office now. So, yeah, and even the ones that just got in there like 3 months, a little over 3 months ago now. Yeah, it'd be about January 4th, 5th of this year. Yeah, the ones that have been in there since then, that Abduli bitch, the other fucking Muslim asshole, these fucking scumbags definitely 100% have broken their oath to office a couple of dozen times already at this point. Specifically, Abduli's done it at least once or twice based on the fact that they've been trying to push Islamic terrorist shit forward as bills, which again, in and of itself, this is what we need to win the Constitution. Auto decrease from office, dude. Straight up, get the fuck out, bitch. So, anyway, but yeah, needless to say, so basically, first and foremost, you had Andrew Ginther. For those that don't know, I'm gonna go a little story time here for the Columbus Mag Ban thing. So back in, I believe it was October, November of last year, going into the Christmas time of last year, you had Andrew Ginther and the Columbus City Council unconstitutionally pass a ordinance in the city of Columbus that would have basically banned any magazine over 29 rounds is what it is, which, again, it's fucking ridiculous because you cannot ban stuff like that. You are 100% breaking preemption law in the state, and the fact that some dickless piece of shit Franklin County judge was like, oh, no, you're good to go. That motherfucker should have been fired on the spot, by the way. I'm not sure if it was a woman or a dude that did that. I just know it was Franklin County judge. Never have been able to find their fucking name at this point. And yeah, either way, that person needs to be disbarred on the spot right now is what it is, dude. Disbarred on the spot and be in prison with Ginther and the city council is what it is. Then, of course, you had this past week, there was another judge in Delaware County, which is basically, you have Franklin County here, you have Delaware County, I believe it's over here, up here, somewhere in there, the way it sits. And they were like, no, this is bullshit. You're totally breaking preemption law. Go fuck yourself. This shit is, struck down, basically. So, as far as I know, it's either been struck down or it's been at least, like, super injunction to this point, which either way, it's been struck, essentially, for the time being. And as far as I'm aware, it's probably going to go up to a higher court. If that does be the case, and it does go up to a higher court, it's either going to be the state Supreme Court, which most likely, given the fact the makeup by the state Supreme Court right now is heavily Republican, you'll most likely see it just get smacked down. You'll most likely see Ginther get a bitch slap across the face is what he needs to have at this point, which honestly, I'm going to say it like this, dude. The fact that this is like the 8th fucking time that Andrew Ginther has tried to pull this shit as Columbus mayor, the fact that he is like the 4th or 5th Democrat, including pieces of shit like John Crenley, including pieces of shit like Nan Whaley, have done this dozens of times. Why the fuck aren't they all in prison right now, dude? Why the fuck have they not been arrested for deprivation of rights or color of law? Why the fuck have they not been arrested for oath breaking? Why the fuck have they not been arrested for various tyrannical charges? It's fucking ridiculous to let these fuckers off with a slap on the wrist, dude. They should be immediately removed from office based on the shit they're doing alone. and they should be thrown in the fucking jail at that point, dude. Jail, prison, I don't care what it is. Ohio prison is perfect for me personally, honestly, dude. You know, if that's where it ended, if that's where their end game was, if that's what our end game was at that point, you know, to put these fuckers away where they belong, and it was just life imprisonment then, good. By all means, that's what it needs to be at this point. You know? Obviously, if you look at deprivation of law, there's actually 4 charges you can do for people. 1 year and 1 day in jail. Never hold elected office again. 10 years in jail. Same thing. Never hold elected office. Life imprisonment is a 3rd charge. Death penalty is a 4th charge, depending on severity of the crime is what it is. So, but yeah, at this point, it needs to be anywhere from 10 years of life imprisonment at this point. Just because of the fact that you have them doing it so many times is what it is. It would be one thing if it was like once, maybe twice or something like that. But the fact that you've had Ginther and company do that shit at least a dozen plus times now. No, enough is enough of this shit. It's time for Andrew Ginther to be locked the fuck up, life imprisonment. The same thing with the Columbus City Council members and stuff like that pull this shit as well, dude. So, anyways, with that out the way, we're going to move on to the other story that really got me really pissed this morning, which was you had these dumbasses over at Reddit, Ohio. Oh, by the way, I do want to point something out too, by the way. As of last night, we officially, on our Twitter account, on social media, now have a state senator following us, being Michael Ruley. And it was because we talked to him about my federal swatting is what it was, which was, let me see if I can find it real quick here. Yeah. He was talking about something, and I said, we'll do you one better, Ruley. And then I mentioned the day it happened and stuff like that. Said our founder was federally swatted in the wake of the Dayton massacre. The following day, when the feds talked to him as they were leaving, they admitted to his face, "We wasted 6 days on this." Within 30 days of that, Representative Casey Weinstein hit Oaks himself. There was no federal investigation of him. So, yeah. And I'm pretty sure that's what got him to follow me then. Which is true, by the way. You had my federal swatting happen on August 12th, 2019. That's when they were banging on the windows of the house and the door and shit like that. Left the card, and then it was the next day, the 13th, is when they came back and were bitching at me in the fucking driveway. And then you had asshole Timmy as they were leaving be like, "We wasted 6 days on this," while looking at me like that, being like, "We wasted 6 days on this," and then half looking at his partner at the same time then. So, yeah, bunch of shit, dude. And then it was sometime in September of that month, or next month, is when you had that piece of shit Weinstein hit himself by putting tyrant memes that he printed off of his computer into his own mailbox, which, by the way, should have been a federal felony at that point because using USPS to do is what it was, and never got investigated for that shit. And then, by the way, and this is something I learned from Ohio Governors after the fact, was 3-4 days after Weinstein did that, he went to a Facebook buy-sell trade site and tried to fucking sell the printer he used to print the shit off on the fucking buy-sell trade site. So yeah, there's a fucking paper trail. There's a digital paper trail there. If they really wanted to investigate Weinstein and bust his ass for some shit, dude, all you gotta do is go to that buy-sell trade site from 2019 and bang, bang, boom, you got the fucking evidence. So that's the problem, though, dude. You have these Republicans in power right now that don't put the fucking nail in the coffin is what it is, dude. They refuse to actually go that one step further and actually do criminal investigations into political opponents is what it is. Instead, they'll be like, "Oh no, our colleagues on the left." No, fuck that, dude. They're not our colleagues on the left. They are fucking people that a bunch of retarded motherfuckers vote into office who are 100% trying to restrict my rights, your rights, and everybody else's rights in the state or this country, depending on where they're holding power at. If it's at a state level, it's a federal level, whatever. The entire fucking point of the matter is they are breaking their oath to office. They are committing hate hoaxes to themselves while trying to do gun bans at the time, which is what that bitch-ass Weinstein was trying to do. He was trying to do a mag ban at the time, just like the asshole Ginther's trying to do right now. And you had them commit what equates to a fucking federal felony and not being investigated for such things. Or even better than that, I'll give you one even better than that. May 2021, almost 2 years ago now to the day, House Oversight Committee hearing, constitutional carry hearing that day. Allison Russo walks in with a cup of coffee in one hand, Bunch of Moms Demand Action members are sitting in front of her in the little gallery place there within the chambers. Camera looking at all of them. This bitch takes a fucking fat ass envelope from a Moms Demand Action member on camera, dude. No investigations ever opened into that shit of if it was full of cash or something else for that matter. Meanwhile, and I'm going to point this out because this is very relevant, at that same exact time, Allison Russo was trying to run for Congress for the open seat that was left by Marcia Fudge. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I'm pretty sure it was Fudge's seat at that time. Mike Carey, who was a Trump-backed guy, eventually won that race in the general election against Russo's bitch ass. Why the fuck was Allison Russo, number one, not expelled from the fucking General Assembly for a resign to run kind of thing, the way that DeSantis is supposed to be doing right now? That's the reason why he hasn't jumped to the presidency right now, honestly, is because Florida, unlike a bunch of other states, actually has a law in the books currently, which DeSantis is now trying to get the GOP down in Florida to actually rescind now, which is called resign to run, which is basically if you're trying to run for a fucking higher office, whether it be the presidency or U.S. Senate seat or whatever the case be, you got to resign from the fucking governorship. Why is that not a thing nationwide for every seat of power, dude? You're going to run for a higher office, get the fuck out of whatever you're currently holding, period, in the story. We don't need you here, we don't want you here. If you want to be a career politician, fuck you, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out, try to go for a higher office. If you fail, tough shit, you don't have a fucking job anymore. It's as simple as that. You know, go work a fucking 9 to 5, go work a burger flipping job, dude. Since half you motherfuckers don't even do work anyway at this point. You take fucking 6-month vacations here and there. You take fucking consistent vacations all throughout the year. You sit there and talk about a 2-year General Assembly, but you're only in office actually maybe 8 months out of every fucking year, if that even. Maybe more like 5 to 6 months, honestly. You take a summer vacation, you take a spring vacation, you take a fall vacation, you take Christmas, you take Easter, you take Thanksgiving off. All these fucking holidays, dude. Oh, it's Martin Luther King Day. Let's take that off too. Let's take off every major holiday, right? And then when you actually are there, you don't even do your job half the fucking time. I mean, hell, the other day for that committee hearing where they were trying to do House Joint Resolution 1, you had Russo and company straight up walk out on the fucking committee hearing, dude. Why are they still in our General Assembly after that, dude? You had her, you had that Mohammed motherfucker shouldn't even be in office based on the fact he's a fucking Somali terrorist, by the way. Which, how the fuck's he even able to run in our state house, dude, for that matter? Being the fact that he's not even a legal U.S. citizen in this fucking country. Being the fact that he was an Obama fucking plant from Somalia, the exact same way that fucking bitch Omar came over from fucking Somalia as a child. Oh, sorry, not a child. As a fucking teenage, quote-unquote, freedom fighter, because she was literally a fucking child soldier over there in Somalia, dude, under her own father. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. That's truth, by the way. If you want to know that fucking truth, dude, that's straight up truth right there. But yeah, you have all these fucking people, dude, coming over from other countries, representing their own nation of origin in the United States. And I'm fucking sick and tired of it, and so is everybody else on there, dude. You know, and like I said, you got that fucking Abduli piece of shit in our state house too now. What was the first thing she did this go around, dude? Was she disqualified from the spot, or on the spot, in that time period, back in January of this year? Oh, you just want to do the white Christian prayer. What the fuck kind of racist ass shit is that, bitch? This country was literally founded as such a nation. You know, you always want to go through the whole melting pot thing. Here's an interesting fact for you, dude. Melting pot itself was an actual thing under JFK. It was never done until then. And the thing is, if we're actually supposed to be a true melting pot, you know, like they want to claim for the past, 60 years or so, give or take, then fucking melt. Fucking melt. Speak English. Follow the fucking Bible, etc., dude. Don't be coming into our country speaking all kinds of fucking other languages as your first language. Creating little fucking towns and little fucking villages and stuff like that here and there. And then never leaving them and then saying America's such a fucking racist country. When you never leave those 5, 6, 8 blocks of where the hell it is there. Little Honduras, little El Salvador, little Somalia, whatever the fuck it is. It just fucking blows me away. It really does, dude. And this is something I've heard from so many people, honestly. And it's not even just, it's not even just like those particular ethnicities I'm talking about either. There's been people that have come over to America right now from places like North Korea. Well, not North Korea, South Korea is what I meant to say. Should be only Korea at this point, because honestly, in the North and South were all split, is what it was back in the day. But yeah, it was people from like South Korea, Taiwan, places like that, etc. And they'll come here for a visit, do some tourism and stuff like that. The problem is, instead of actually seeing, the actual sights of America and seeing America as the, supposed melting pot that is now, they want to sit there and go into some, Taiwan town or Chinatown or where the fuck it is, in, some leftist ass city and stuff like that. And legitimately, those places, they're like, 4 or 5 blocks maybe at most. Maybe 8 blocks if you're lucky, depending on the size of the city and stuff like that. And yeah, they'll sit there, 2-3 weeks on this vacation, staying with family and friends in those little teeny fucking blocks like that, dude. And then they'll sit there and go back home and be like, America's such a shithole. America's so bad. It's like, no, it's not. You never fucking left the area your friends were from. You don't even know anything, dude. You don't know anything about this country. And again, it goes back to even everything else like that, dude. When you look at these other countries, the European nations and stuff like that, dude, whether it be, Britain or the United Kingdom or France or something like that, dude, these fucking places, a few million people in each of them, they're the size of a damn state in the United States, dude. And people try to compare them to our country of over 330 million people in it. And then at the same time, they want to sit there and be like, geographically speaking, be like, well, I want to come over there and take like a couple week visit or whatever, and I want to visit Texas and I want to visit Ohio in the same day, not realizing that the difference between the two of them is like a 20-hour drive, dude. Legitimately, hell, you can drive from this part of Texas to that part of Texas, and you're still in fucking Texas like 20 hours later, dude. Like, you can legit drive from like one side to the other side, and you're still going to be in Texas like almost a day later is what it is. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, somebody mentioned something how if you go from like, I think it's like the southernmost tip of Texas to like the northernmost tip or something, it's over a day drive, and you're still in Texas the whole entire time. That's how big Texas is, dude. So yeah, it's impossible. I mean, hell, I drove to Maine once. Oh, that was a fucking shit show, man. Mostly because you had to drive through fucking anti-gun in New York. You had to drive through the anti-gun hellhole of Connecticut, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, all these fucking places like that, dude, that are all a bunch of leftist anti-gun states is what it is. So, we're driving through Pennsylvania, and legitimately, dude, like, when you drive from Ohio to Maine, and you're driving, like, legitimately through Pennsylvania there, it's like a 10-plus hour drive just through Pennsylvania. It's really a 2-day drive, honestly, to get there, because it's legitimately like a 14 to 16 hour drive or so, give or take. And the thing of it is, you have to drive through like pretty much the entire state of Pennsylvania to get to the rest of them. And the rest of them are only like, half hour to an hour each is what it is then. One interesting thing about New York actually is, and this is something I found out after the fact when I was driving with our family years ago, is they don't have rest stops. They don't have actual bathrooms at any kind of rest stop. What they have is they have text stops. I should say texting stops, where you basically sort of drive off the road into like this little overpass thing. That's usually like a little cliffside or whatever there. And you can park your car in there, and it's about maybe 10 cars that you can be put in there at any time or whatever. And it's just to stop and do texting and stuff like that. Because, of course, back in those days, and this was back 2014 when we were there, you had, I want to say it was like 2012, 2013, somewhere in there, is when that asshole Cuomo basically put in some like texting thing to ban texting in the state if you're driving and stuff like that, which I don't disagree with, honestly. They're doing it here now is what it is, or at least, distracted driving is what it ends up being here in Ohio because of all the crashes and shit. And it's if you're basically caught. It's interesting too, by the way, because it gives people such a grace period here in Ohio, dude. It's like, yeah, we're almost in May right now, right? You can be caught right now all the way up to fucking October and get nothing, get no tickets, nothing. And all of a sudden when October comes around, if you don't know any better, tough shit, you're getting a fucking ticket then. And if you actually get charged with some stuff, you're actually getting, I think it's like 4 or 5 points on your license or something crazy like that for like it's either a first or second offense then. So yeah, pretty crazy. But I do get like the grace period of like a few months anyway. But yeah, when you're talking about like almost an entire year they've had, or at least like a good 6 months or so anyway, before they actually get like charged with shit, it's like Jesus Christ, that's a long ass time, dude. But anyway, so yeah, basically New York has they had a weird it was like little texting areas and stuff like that. And I said honestly, like Ohio should kind of do the same thing, honestly, because that's the big thing with Ohio, though, is what it is, dude. As a state, we have these like rest stops and stuff like that, but the problem is like when you're actually on the highway and shit, there's a rest stop, but it's only like once every like 50, 60 something miles is what it is, or even more than that for that matter. So it's like, yeah, you could easily have like every 10, 15 miles or something like that, just have like a little pull off or something like that, and it's just like a little text area or a little talk area or something like that for you to make calls and shit if you need to make a quick call or something. And that way you're not having like distracted driving and stuff is what it is. So, but anyway, I actually got into an interesting talk with my brother last night a little bit because we were talking about the whole migrant caravans and stuff like that coming up through a border system illegally and stuff. And I was mentioning something about how it's like, yeah, you noticed how it's always these people that'll come up here and they'll be waving, whether it be Mexico's flag or El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter, honestly, dude. It's always flags of other countries. It's never the U.S. flag. It's never the American flag. It's always the nation of origin that they're coming from. Because it's literally fucking foreign standing armies is what it is, dude. That's what their end game is right now, dude. It's why Biden and company are fucking, licking their damn chops right now and being like, yeah, let's get that Title 42 ended, baby. Because they know they're going to bring a shitload of people in here is what it is, dude. And it's not like they already have like 27 foreign standing armies right now, dude. They're all a bunch of fighting age men right now. Seriously, if you look at most of these caravans that have come up in the past, 2.5 years or so since asshole Biden's taken the fucking presidency, it's legitimately every single one of them is a fucking dude over the age of 18. And if they're not over 18, they're at least like 14 to 16 anyway, which again is still fighting age males at that point, dude. And people don't see that what the fuck's happening here is what it is. And you don't understand that this is what's being planted in our communities right now, dude. By these fucking douchebag Democrats, dude. It just blows me away. It really does, man. Because all it is like, I've talked about it before in this series and stuff. We're heading towards a civil war in this country, a second one for sure, 100%, or a balkanization event or something. I don't know what the fuck it is, dude. It's probably both actually at this point. It's probably both a civil war as well as a balkanization event that could very well lead to a second revolution at some point. The entire point of the matter is, and by the way, there could be a Great Depression in there as well on top of everything on that one. So it could basically be like, I want to say they're called Black Swan events. So it could be like potentially like 3 or 4 different Black Swan events all in the time span of like a 3 to 5 year period is what it would be then. And so what you end up having then is you have these X factors, these, fighting age males from other countries and stuff like that. They hate America. They've been conditioned to hate America, being armed by the cartels, et cetera, et cetera. And eventually those are going to be the people that are going to try to become warlords in this country, dude. They're going to be the foreign standing armies of various warlord peoples, what it is. Maybe they'll be government. Maybe they'll be government backed. Who the fuck knows? I don't even know at this point, dude. Could be either way. Probably both, actually, for that matter. Probably some will be government backed, some of them may not be government backed. But either way, they're 100% going to be cartel backed, though. And they'll be cartel armed, most likely with the guns that Obama gave to the fucking cartels in Fast and Furious, is my guess, honestly. So, yeah, not a good time at all, man. And exactly why everybody in this country that can be legally armed needs to be legally armed right now, dude. And needs to be ready to fight for our damn nation if and when things go south like that. Which leads me to what I was going to talk about here with this Reddit Columbus fucking thread. So, you had what I can only assume is some random chick here bitching and moaning about stuff and talking about how Ohio government is systematically taking away their freedoms. And it said, how many Ohioans under the age of 40 feel that our current Ohio government is systematically taking away their freedoms, ? Some of the specific concerns that have been raised include, quote, the passage of restrictive abortion laws, aka pro-life legislation, like the heartbeat bill. I also love how they say freedoms, because you're not have the freedom to fucking kill kids in the womb, you stupid fucking cunt. That is number one. You do not have the freedoms to kill babies. In fact, you have the opposite of that. It is life in the Constitution. Clearly something you've never read, you dumb hoe. Number two, the passage of voter suppression laws, which makes it more difficult for people to register to vote and to cast their ballots. Oh, you mean voter ID laws that don't allow you to steal another fucking election? Is that what you're talking about? You mean voter ID laws that don't allow for the cheat that got Sherrod Brown back into the U.S. Senate in 2018, or Biden the presidency in 2020, or a whole bunch of Democrats into power here in 2022 as well? You mean those kind of laws? You mean an actual fucking ID that has your damn face on it, you stupid fucking cunt? You mean those laws? Yeah, that's real restrictive. Real restrictive, you fucking idiot. People wonder why I hate the Democrats and the left at this point, dude, and it's shit like this, honestly. Because they're that fucking retarded is what it is. Apparently you can't see a retard on Twitter either, which pisses me off, because I would love to call these people out for being the fucking retards that they are, dude, is what it is on that site. But yeah, number three said the expansion of gun rights. Again, okay, so this is what I understand, right? Taking away their freedoms by expanding gun rights. What the fuck kind of retarded nonsense is that, dude? Which they then lie about, after the fact, by the way, when they claim, which makes it easier for people to purchase and carry firearms, which is where I really got on their ass on that one. I'm actually going to read the other three here in a minute here, because they talk about registering in the last part of it, which I responded back to him. I said, you clearly know nothing about firearms purchasing. Constitutional carry does not make it easier to buy a gun and only allows non-felons over the age of 21 to carry legally. Also, if you have a problem with human life, maybe move to a blue state. Also, that redistricting thing is a straight up lie. Actually, talking about redistricting here. I'm actually going to talk about that before I do my response here. So the other ones this chick was talking about said the cuts to education funding, which makes it more difficult for students to get a quality education. Again, that is a straight lie. What the Republican Party in the state of Ohio is doing right now is school choice. It is school choice to allow people who actually don't want to have to deal with the Obama fucking leftovers, because piece of shit Barack Obama, in the last fucking days of his presidency, like the typical fucking communist piece of shit that he fucking is, decided it was a good idea to, let me go ahead and write in one more executive order, which allows for criminal fucking students of one race, being black kids, to go and beat the fucking shit out of their peers in schools and not be expelled on the spot for that stuff. And so what's happening is, in a lot of these fucking schools around this country right now, especially in poor areas, you are having these kids that are committing all these fucking crimes in the school system there, not being expelled on the fucking spot from the schools. And because of that, they're having these pieces of shit interrupt teachers while they're trying to do their fucking job, and you have them interrupting the students that are actually trying to learn there. And so you have these kids, these 5-10 kids that actually want to fucking learn is what it is, not being able to learn now. And what's going to happen is, with school choice, is those 5 or 10 kids and that teacher who's actually wants to teach these kids are now going to be able to go to a private school, and she's going to be able to teach there, and they're going to be able to go there and fucking learn. And they're going to become the best and the brightest of that fucking area, dude. Instead of being held back by a bunch of fucking assholes who should have been expelled on the spot a long fucking time ago is what it is. And that's the biggest problem right now with our schools currently do with public education. Not to mention the public indoctrination system that is public education system right now, where you have fucking anti-white racism in the forms of CRT and other stupid bullshit like that, dude. Which really pisses me off that they still have yet to fucking ban that stuff here in Ohio, dude. It's like, what the fuck, people? You had all last year, and this, by the way, goes back to something I talked about over 20 minutes ago now, which is the whole thing about them taking fucking breaks all the time in the Ohio General Assembly. You motherfuckers had 2 years to get that shit done between 2020 and 2022, and you could have got it done in the at least 8-month time span there in 2021/22. But you didn't do it. You didn't fucking do it, man. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. It really is. It really pisses me off, man. It really, really does. Because they had the entirety of 2021 that could have done something. They had the entirety of 2022 that could have done something. And they didn't do shit until like the last few days of the fucking General Assembly, dude. When they're like, oh shit, we gotta do this 17-hour session now is what it is. And then it was a bunch of stuff that didn't get passed then. And that happened to be one of them was what it was. So, yeah. This chick, again, is a straight up liar when it comes to education stuff there. Continuing on with her bullshit. Said the cuts to social services, which makes it more difficult for people to get help with food, housing, and healthcare. So here's the thing about that, right? So she's basically talking about the EBT program and stuff like that. It was not the Republican GOP of Ohio that cut that shit, you dumbass. It was a bunch of fucking federal stuff under the Biden administration that cut that stuff. Specifically, it was stuff that was put in place. When you look at the actual EBT system, it was actual money that was doled out under, I believe it was actually Trump's administration, if I'm not mistaken, where it was basically emergency funding that was extra cash added in the EBT system is what it was there, to allow for like another like $50, $75, depending on what it was, depending on, you know, family size and stuff like that. That was added onto the cards is what it was then. And then you had, as soon as, you know, the shit expired here in the past like 6 months or so is what it was. Now, after the fact, you've now had all that money basically taken off of it now is what it is. So essentially, if you have like an old person who is, you know, Social Security age and stuff like that, and is like a single, you know, elderly adult living by themselves, whether it be an old woman or an old man, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. Instead of getting like $100-something under the old system between 2020 and 2023 now, they're now going back to like the $25 to $30 that they originally were going to get is what it was. So, yeah. And again, that right there, that last one actually to me just screams of welfare queen mentality is what it is, dude, which is the worst kind of mentality right now. And it really goes back to the whole, not only just welfare queen mentality, but it's also like the single mother mentality is what it is, because they're basically not even mutually exclusive. They're all the same fucking thing is what it is, dude, at the end of the day. Because unfortunately, you know, in this country in 2023 and going back for the past, you know, 45, 50 something years now, since the 1970s really is what it is, we've been incentivizing as a nation single motherhood is what it is. We've been basically telling them straight up, well, not we, I should say we as a collective term is what it is. I'm talking about the government, specifically the federal government, has been telling them for the past, you know, 5 decades or so, oh, you don't need no man in the house because the government can be your baby daddy. Oh, just make sure there's no man in the house. Let's break up the fucking nuclear family, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, here's a shitload of fucking money that you can get on fucking food stamps / EBT now. Oh, here's a bunch of fucking government handouts and cash assistance you can get from the government now. Because the government's going to provide for you. You just have to vote Democrat until you're dead. And even beyond. Seriously, man. Only the dead vote Democrat. But yeah, it's a bunch of shit all the way around, man. And unfortunately, that's what's happening in this country, dude, for the past 5 decades or so, is just people, you know, being told straight up, be like, hey, you're a single mother, have a bunch of kids, with a bunch of different dads is what it is. Just make sure you're not married to any of those guys, and we'll just give you everything you fucking need is what it is, man. And then you wonder why you have generation after generation of the kids I was talking about there with Obama's ass fucking fighting in schools all the time, dude. It's not that hard to figure out, dude. Fatherless homes is the root cause and the solution to 95% of America's problems right now. If we dealt with that shit as the root cause that it is right now, you would easily be able to fix the fucking system right now as it is, dude. The other 5% would obviously be, you know, cutting off benefits and shit like that's what it is then. So, anyway. Which, by the way, I'm going to say it like this, honestly. If you are on a welfare system where you have tax dollars providing your fucking income for you or providing your fucking meals for you, and you have another child on that system, you're fucking cut off, period. That's how it needs to be right now. And that, again, would incentivize having 2-parent households and having people actually work for a living instead of, you know, sucking off the government tit for their entire fucking lives, and then generationally for literal fucking decades with multiple generations of their own family, whether it be, you know, mom, daughter, son, aunt, uncle, whatever it is, grandmother, grandfather, great grandkids, etc. there. So, anyway, and then the final one there was this person said was that our Ohio Redistricting Commission, which is responsible for drawing electoral district boundaries, has repeatedly drawn maps that have been found to be unconstitutional. Yeah, according to a rhino bitch named Maureen O'Connor, who should have been thrown out of office, and 3 fucking Democrats that should still be thrown out of office right now, and then claim this is a clear violation of the will of the people of Ohio. And like I said, I was talking about the gun stuff there, and then I responded back as well with that. And I said, also, that redistricting thing is a straight up lie. O'Connor, who was termed out, chose to side with oath-breaking Democrats on the state Supreme Court. The only reason she and the 3 Dems were not impeached on the spot was because of career rhinos who were up for re-election in purple districts. And that's true, by the way. I talked to my own state rep, Reggie Stolfus, about that a year ago. And I straight up said, why are you guys not impeaching O'Connor? Why are you not impeaching Democrats on the state Supreme Court right now for this shit? Because they're clearly violating their oath to office. They're clearly doing all kinds of criminal stuff right now. And he specifically, his direct phrase to me was, if you're going to kill the king, make sure you don't miss. And then he specifically said after that, we do not have the votes. We do not have the 60 votes for a veto-proof majority to impeach O'Connor's ass at that time in history. Which told me one fucking thing at that point. You had rhino sacks of shit, like Bill Seitz, etc., who were in purple districts, who were up for re-election in 2022, who refused to do their fucking job and remove that fucking cunt O'Connor from our state Supreme Court at that point, as well as the Democrats for that matter, because it would mean the end of their own fucking political career in the state is what it would be. And it's bullshit, dude. It is absolute fucking scumbaggery at its worst right there. And that is the exact problem with the state of Ohio right now and the corruption in the state of Ohio right now. Is you have all these motherfuckers, just like Hoffman's going to try to do next year is what it is, dude. When he's termed out of the state senate, he's going to try and flip-flop back to the state house is what it is. It's like, nah, dude, you've had 8 years. You've been the Senate president for 8 fucking years. Almost 8 years, actually. It's been 7 years or so, give or take. It'll be 8 years next year. You've had your 8 years. You've been Senate president almost the entire time, dude. Just get the fuck out, bro. Just get the fuck out and let somebody else take the damn seat in the state house then. Enough is enough, really, it is, dude. It's like, at what point do we just stop fucking allowing these people to flip-flop the General Assembly, dude? That's the thing. The entire fucking point of term limits is just that, is to be termed the fuck out. It's to be like, you've had 8 years, go do something else for at least a term anyway. And that's the thing, right? Like, I have no problem if they wanted to come back in and 2, 4, 6 years later or whatever, dude. But it's like, at least get the fuck out for a term. Like, no, you're not going to fucking just flip the fucking assembly after being in one side of it for 8 fucking years. Like, go someplace else for 2 fucking years, dude. That's all we're asking. If you want to come back in after that 2 years and then go run for a state rep seat or whatever the case be, what the fuck ever. You've technically been termed out then. I mean, truthfully speaking, you shouldn't be allowed to do that, obviously. But the entire point of the matter is, it's like, at least you've been gone for a little bit of time. At least you've been gone for the point where it's like, okay, you're technically a new representative now or whatever then. But the entire point of the matter is you shouldn't be able to go over here 8 years and then go over here 8 years and then go back over here for 8 years and then go back over there for 8 years until you're like in the fucking government for like 50 fucking years and then you retire on a government pension. It's bullshit, dude. And that's exactly what the fucking endgame is, by the way, from most of these assholes. It's to get into power. It is to be in the pocket of fucking mega donors, billionaires, etc. And it's to fuck us all over. The worst part of the fact is, though, is this. In the last couple of days now, you've had it come out that there was some billionaire guy in Illinois who basically gave like $1 million-ish to Super PAC and stuff like that. By the way, this is all from Columbus Dispatch, quote-unquote, reporting, which I don't believe a fucking word those cocksuckers say at this point, dude. I think they're lying their asses off about what's really going on there. But supposedly what they're saying is there's some GOP mega donor guy who gave like $1 million to Super PAC and happens to be one of the Super PACs that are part of the people here in Ohio. I think it might be the ones that are doing the attack ads and stuff like that based on the bullshit amendment for killing kids in the womb and then transitioning kids and stuff like that. So you have them giving like $1 million to that political ad campaign or whatever it is, them is my guess there. The thing is, though, is the buy that them people did was like a $5 million ad buy, dude. So it's like, if that dude only gave like $1 million, it's only like 20% of their fucking ad buy then. And to sit there and be like, oh, out of state special interest in the GOP and stuff like that, it's like, yet you fucking cocksuckers in the ACLU, in the fucking ADL, and the fucking League of Women Voters, and all these other fucking asshole groups that are all for this fucking baby killing amendment / transitioning kids amendment, which is what it is both times, by the way. It's exactly what Michigan passed a year ago. It's a copy and paste version of that bullshit that passed there in Michigan, and fucking Democrat hellhole Michigan now, under that fucking cunt Whitmer, who, actually was looking at a thing last night, and it was talking about there's apparently a portal to hell, basically, in downtown Detroit, Michigan, and now it explains a hell of a lot where the hell Gretchen Whitmer actually came from, which was hell. I mean, that legitimately, dude. She has that demon from hell at this point. Hell, she's probably fucking Hitler reincarnated at this point, is my guess, honestly, dude. But anyway, the entire point of the matter is it's a copy and paste version of the shit they put through in Michigan last year. And who is it funded by? It's funded by George Soros and his fucking Bloomberg billionaire buddies, dude. Or sorry, not Bloomberg. Bilderberg billionaire buddies, which obviously Michael Bloomberg is one of those people as well. And that's the thing, right? Like, we don't need these fucking... It's funny to me, too, that these Democrats want to talk about special interest groups, right? Moms Demand Action is a special interest group, dude. It is literally funded by billionaire Michael Bloomberg, who is an anti-gun fuckboy from New York. The guy has no business in Ohio. His fucking bitch-ass pieces of shit who want to restrict our gun rights have no business fucking lobbying here in Ohio. And to sit there and be like, I'm a volunteer for Moms Demand Action. No, you're a fucking paid Bloomberg shill, you stupid fucking cunt, every single time around. And we're sick and tired of your shit. Not to mention, if you actually look into it, every single one of these fucking hoes gets busted in every time there's an anti-gun bill or a pro-gun bill on the docket, is what it is. Like it was with constitutional carry, they all got busted in from either Cleveland down to Columbus, or it was from Cincinnati up to Columbus, or Dayton over to Columbus, etc., etc. There's a bus that waits for them. I want to say it's around 6 or 7 a.m., wherever the fuck they're coming from. And then it's basically, if you miss the bus, you miss the bus, and they're leaving at that time period is what it is then. And it was interesting because you look at actually a couple weeks ago here, when they were actually voting on the House Joint Resolution out of committee and stuff there, and you had those like 300-something people come down there to testify against it, what it was on like a Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday afternoon, whatever it was there. Fun fact about that, you had a bunch of Moms Demand Action fucking cunts show up there. They showed up an hour and a half late because, shocker, their fucking bus ran into traffic from Cleveland to Columbus. And that's the biggest problem right now, dude. It's like, no, these people are not volunteers. They are not fucking grassroots independent people like I am. They are 100% bought and paid for billionaires, fucking shit shills, just like those little fucking cocksuckers, Harry Simpson and Chris Morey, who are the moron-ass Gen Z fucking kids for Biden's bitch ass, with that Chris motherfucker. Last October, got paid over $200,000 to be Biden's fucking paid shill for 2024, dude. Must be nice to be a fucking 21, 22-year-old little piece of shit who tries to do a political strategy of basically throwing everything against the wall at you. And it's so much information overload. This is a political strategy, by the way, in debates and stuff like that, where somebody will throw so much info at you, where it's like 10 different things or whatever, to where you don't even know where to start to be like, fuck you, basically, is what it is. And so you have that little asshole being all like, oh yeah, fucking guns this, and killing kids in schools with mass shootings that, and this, and abortion rights that, and everything else like that. It's like a bunch of stupid shit is what it is, dude. But yeah, it's like so many things at once. It's like you don't know where exactly to start, except saying, you're a fucking lunatic who shouldn't have voting rights. Get the fuck out of here, Chris. So, anyway. But yeah, it's a bunch of shit all the way around, dude. And like I said, going back to this person here at the Ohio subreddit there, they're just an asshole, dude, is what it is. If you really hate Ohio that much, dude, if you really hate this red state that is Ohio right now, seriously, pack your bags and take your ass to New York or Michigan or California or Washington State or Oregon or any of the other fucking leftist blue shitholes. Colorado's another great one too, by the way, that are now allowing your abortion rights on demand to the moment of birth. That are now allowing you to basically transition kids and have transition tourism in their fucking states. Minnesota's another one of these too, by the way. Tim Walz did that shit last night, actually, or not last night, but it's like Thursday, Friday afternoon, somewhere in there. Signed the same shit that Colorado has in now, where it's basically it's a trans sanctuary state for kids that people want to, you know, turn their sons into daughters and their daughters into sons. Just fucking sick people, dude, is what it is. And this is what Democrat Party is in 2023, dude. It's a bunch of sterilizing, child abusing, child molesting, fucking pedophiles and pedophile enablers. And that's why I won't put up with their shit anymore, dude. That's why I fucking called them out last year. And what happened? You had a bunch of the gun community turn against me. I don't give a fuck anymore, dude. I already called those assholes out on this one, dude. And I'm sticking to that story. I'm sticking to that thing, by the way. If I don't get a fucking apology directly from Guns and Barbecue and PNW and all those guys by May 31st, June 1st, I'm suing the shit out of them at this point, dude. I'm sick and tired of it. So, anyway. Honestly, I think it's kind of funny, though, when you look at it, because in the past week or so, not only have we had Washington State now have the AWB there from that piece of shit Inslee, which obviously fucks over both Woods and Barron, etc. there, you also have Democrats in Pennsylvania now push gun control out of a committee this week is what it was, dude. So it's like chickens are coming home to roost at this point, man. Really, they really are, honestly. You know, it's like it's kind of karma, man. You fucking y'all turn your back on me, you fucking slander me, you talk shit about me for saying it like it is, talking about the truth of this fucking country's founding, and you want to sit there and call me a racist without any actual proof of that. By the way, I refuse your racist bullshit. I refuse your racism. You all are a bunch of fucking idiots, dude. Half of y'all are in fucking league with Antifa at this point, or at least ally with BLM anyway. So, really, I could give a fuck about it, y'all, dude. Like I said, personally, for me, I would just like an apology, is what it is. A sincere one, too, by the way, on that one. Not just, oh, we're sorry, but we're not we're sorry, but we're not sorry kind of thing. No, I'm talking about a serious apology. Be like, we're sorry we slandered you, etc., etc. We're sorry you put you in a depressive state for months of your life to where you almost took your own life. And, thank God I beat that. Thank God my mind and my mental fortitude was enough to where I survived that, to where I was able to get out of my own head and come back from the brink. They always say whatever does not kill you makes you stronger. And that's true, by the way, because that did not kill me. And it made me much, much stronger now. It made me even more of a constitutionalist, by the way, now. It also made me much more of a person who gets what the fucking problem is in this country. And it's 100% the left at this point, dude. It's the leftist ideology. It's the communist ideology. It's the indoctrination, the rules for radicals playbook these people are all playing by right now. And enough is enough of it, honestly. They want to sit there and kill off entire generations of kids. They want to sit there and indoctrinate the generations that actually make it out of the womb alive. And they want to fucking enable others, or themselves for that matter, to prey upon these kids to sexually molest them. And I will not back down on that, dude, because that is the truth. In the last year, I have seen even more of that shit and more proof of that shit now. That these people are either pedo-enabling or they are pedophiles themselves. And actually, there was a good one the other day. It was NEA was having a discussion with Yankee Marshall. I believe G. was also there at the time. And I'm not sure how it got started, but it was basically somebody brought up the fact of, DeSantis and a few other Republican governors basically, quote unquote, banning books in schools. But yet what they don't actually say there is how the books banned are all child porn, basically, is what it is, dude. There are all these books that teach kids how to give each other head and shit like that. And if nothing else, it's all, just sick pedo shit, and it's indoctrination of transgenderism and stuff like that. And I'd like to point something out too, by the way. People want to sit there and call DeSantis a fascist or, whatever the case be. Here's a fun fact for you that nobody ever talks about in Nazi Germany. A lot of the books burned back then by Hitler and the SS, dude, were all transgender medical journals. Not saying that was right, obviously. I think it was completely wrong because, again, when you're burning books like that, all it does is make that shit be a lost article of history at that point. And so what you end up with is you end up having it come back again 80 to 100 years later or so, which is what we're seeing right now, honestly. It was the 1930s back then. Now it's 2023 now, not almost 90 years later now. And we're seeing the exact same thing prop back up again now because you did not have that time capsule of history to be like, hey, this is the sick shit they're doing back then. Oh my God, let's make sure this doesn't happen ever again kind of thing. And so, yeah, you have these people, these Republican governors, etc., rightfully banning these books that are actual fucking adult sexual material out of schools, as they should be. And then you got fucking Biden and a bunch of Democrats federally, and even at state levels for that matter too, on that one, trying to be like, oh no, you're just banning the books then. It's like, the fact that you're okay with those books in these school systems, dude, shows me everything I need to know about you fucking assholes, dude. And how you are nothing more than a bunch of fucking child molesters. And that's the truth of the matter at the end of the day, dude. That's all these fucking people are. They are a bunch of fucking sick-ass predators is what it is, dude. And you look back at Hollywood even for that matter. You look at Seth Green and stuff like that, who was out about Isaac Cappy as a pedophile. And what happened with Seth Green there? He was a kid who was preyed upon as a child by a predator, most likely Timothy Busfield, who then himself, being Seth Green obviously, went from being prey to predator in his adulthood then. And unfortunately, that's what happens with a lot of them, dude. Whether it be males or females there in Hollywood. If they are preyed upon as children, because it's usually, the various child actors and stuff like that there. If they become the prey of some fucking sicko in Hollywood, they most likely themselves, especially if it's multiple times, will become some sicko themselves 10, 20, 30 years later. Because it's always that vicious cycle, dude. You will have them continue the abuse with another generation is what it is. And that's what pisses me off the most, by the way. There was something that came out yesterday where it was either on Friday or it was Thursday this week. You had Paris Hilton at some fucking ceremony. It was either by the White House or in Capitol Hill, somewhere in there, talking about some child institution act or something like that they're trying to pass in Congress right now. Which I have no idea if that shit's on the level. It probably isn't, honestly. It's probably got some other shit thrown in the mix of it or whatever then. Just like all these bills do. It's just like the whole like Safer Communities Act crap they tried to pass, they pushed through last year or whatever the case be, when it was all like red flag garbage is what it was behind it, is what it was, dude. Which, by the way, they killed a bunch of kids in Uvalde to get that done. Legitimately, dude. That was 100% a government psyop. And for them to sit there and try to do this institution one there, you had Paris Hilton basically being like, oh, well, I was abused at some boarding school and shit like that. Yet she could have used that exact same platform, that like 2-3 minutes or whatever it is, like a soundbite and shit, to start calling out pedophiles in Hollywood by name, dude, and make this country a better fucking nation overall. Because right then and there, you would have been able to actually have investigations open to these fuckers then. But no, just like a typical pedo enabler, dude. She'll be like, oh no, this, and that, or whatever the case be, instead of just being like, this guy and that girl and this dude over here and Tom Hanks over there and Seth Green over there and Steven Spielberg over here, etc., etc. It's like, nah, you could easily done shit like that, honestly, dude. Just start calling these fuckers up by name, dude. And that's what pisses me off by people like Jeremy Renner, too, for that matter, because you know damn well he knows fucking a bunch of them is what it is, dude. Hell, he's probably started with a bunch of them in the fucking Marvel movies at this point. But that's the problem. They will never name these people by name because they know if they do, it's the end of their career in Hollywood. Because it'll be Hollywood basically shunning them from every future thing if that be the case. And probably lawsuits going against them for defamation and stuff like that, even though they're telling the truth is what it is, dude. And that's the saddest part right now. And even going back to Isaac Cappy for that matter, when that man came out and exposed Green, exposed Hanks, exposed Spielberg, et cetera, you had him specifically talk to people in streams, and you had some dude in one of the streams was like, why don't 20 A-list actors come out together and be like, hey, here's a list of all the names and stuff like that. We're not putting up with this anymore. And Isaac Cappy specifically said to that commenter, I don't believe that there are 20 A-list actors in Hollywood that do not have something on them right now. That is fucking disturbing, dude. Now, granted, he said something on them. He did not say child rape. He did not say child molestation, anything like that. He said something, which could just as easily be, hey, they got fucking videos of them doing coke or something in some fucking party or something like that. Or, hey, like I said before on this channel, it could easily be something where it's like, like a Matt Damon type or whatever the case be, walks into a back room into some party, whatever the case be. Some chick tells him she's 18 or 19 or whatever the case be, gives him a BJ, and then after the fact is like, hey, it turns out I'm actually 15 years old. And right then and there, bang, they got you. Because it becomes mutually assured destruction at that point, and it's basically, if you were to out any of these people for actual, hardcore molestation of like an 8, 9, 10-year-old kid or whatever the case be, they're going to be like, hey, remember that time that you got blown by like a 15-year-old girl? And that's what it'll be, dude. And it'll be like that, honestly. Well, they'll take that all out of context like that, and they'll use that against you, is what it is. Just like, well, we haven't seen anything with Epstein's client list right now because you have all these people that are, again, in cahoots with these fucking people. And unfortunately, with the Epstein client list thing, it does go back to the mix between where you have a Hollywood pedophile ring and a U.S. government pedophile ring where they all kind of encircle each other, is what it is then. And so you have a bunch of congressmen and senators who are actually on the Epstein client list, is what it is, man. So, yeah. And this is exactly why nothing will ever change in this country until there's an actual revolt that happens, is what it is, or a revolution or something. Potentially starting as a civil war is what it would be then. Which, like I said, given the fact that we're heading towards one right now, it seems like it's very possible it does happen in the next 5 or 10 years, is what it would be then. So, and I think, honestly, it'll all be natural, is what it is. That being said, I was watching a Tim Pool video the other day, actually. It wasn't a video, it was a little short or something like that, because I was watching a bunch of YouTube shorts in the last couple of days, is what it is now. And some of them were actually pretty good. But yeah, it was like a little snippet from one of Tim Pool's recent casts or whatever from like a week or two ago. And it was this guy talking about color revolutions and how when you look at a lot of the shit going on with overseas there currently with what's going on between, Zelensky and Putin and stuff like that, you have all these CIA-backed ones over the past, 30, 40 years or so, going back like further than that, I think even back to USSR and stuff like that, and the fall of the USSR and shit, where it was all, when you actually look at the map and stuff, and you see like what used to be like the Russian Federation territory and shit, and then it became like all these little smaller countries and stuff like that over like various conflicts and wars and, various freedom fighting and stuff like that is what they want to call it. A lot of these coups and shit back in those days that kicked those off were all CIA backed, is what it is, and they still are to this day for that matter. And so what you end up having is you have a situation where they call them color revolutions because usually, depending on what time period it was or what year it was or whatever, if it's like a 2010, 2014, 2016, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. It is backed by, X, Y, or Z color. Like it could be a blue or it could be a green or a red or a white or a yellow or something like that. Revolution is what it is. And so they call them a color revolution. That's what it is. And this guy was saying how when you look at what happened in 2020, there was the lockdowns and everything like that. And he was starting to look into all this stuff overseas with the color revolution shit. He's like, 2020 felt like a color revolution now. And that's scary to think about, dude. And it would not surprise me, honestly, because when I actually look back at what happened in this country 3 years ago, post lockdowns, and it was almost 3 years ago exactly right now, was when the whole Floyd thing happened. That sparked off, the summer riots and shit there, and obviously the Rittenhouse self-defense and everything from there is what it is. Very much so, dude. There was no way that shit was generic. You had all kinds of shady shit happening back then, from BLM funding to And this is one thing nobody ever talks about, by the way, right? What the hell ever happened to those mysterious pallets of bricks that were being in every major city in this country back then, dude? Where you had people calling that shit out on a regular basis, by the way, back then, where you had like some kind of it was basically like little uprisings by BLM and Antifa and stuff like that. And there would be people walking in the major city or whatever the case be, and you just see like this giant pallet of bricks just sitting someplace, like near a state capitol or whatever it was there. And there was no construction around anywhere that would have required those bricks at all. Yeah, that was totally Soros funding, dude. It's totally Soros buying a bunch of pallets of bricks is what it was, dude, and having them sent to fucking various places around this country and major cities and stuff. Because, shocker, when Antifa and BLM don't bring their own fucking weapons, dude, what are they going to do? They're going to grab the nearest object. And, of course, when you got a bunch of pallets of fucking bricks everywhere, you're just going to grab a fucking brick and chuck it through a fucking window. And have at it and do looting and rioting and stuff like that, dude. And then, of course, when you look at, Minnesota when all that shit happened, you had these fucking people going to O'Reilly Auto Parts and what was the other ones? I'm trying to think. There's another auto parts store. I can't remember the name of it offhand, but yeah, it was like O'Reilly Auto Parts and then one of the other ones too as well, one of the major chain ones there. And they were just chucking bricks through the fucking windows and then setting the motherfuckers on fire is what it is, dude. And what's interesting is nobody ever talks about Umbrella Man either, by the way, for that matter, back in those days, where you had the guy that was like trolling an umbrella there in Minnesota, and he was just walking around with like a club or something, just smashing windows in. And then you had a bunch of BLM people who were the actual citizenry of the city there is what it was, from Minnesota or the Twin Cities or whatever it was there, who would then set the place on fucking fire is what it is, dude. And as well, for that matter, go steal a bunch of shit before they set it on fire is what it was then. So one thing I do remember back in that day was how you had those people that were just like doing like, yeah, I'm all big and bad, and there's a fucking fire right behind me that somebody just set like 10 minutes ago. And they were taking pictures like that, dude. Like that was the fucking city in a nutshell, dude. That's the typical Democrat voter in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and beyond. Where it's, let's burn down your own fucking city. Let's destroy a quote unquote franchise, but yet you're not destroying a franchise because what you're actually destroying is a mom and pop business that bought into a franchise. So you think you're destroying corporate America, but in reality, you're actually destroying a franchised America where, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson or, Grandpa Jones and Grandma Jones, 40, 50 years ago bought this fucking building, and then their kids or grandkids or whatever the case be then turned it into that O'Reilly Auto Parts store, whatever the case be, and they're the ones actually running that shit. And because you all dumbasses just burned that thing to the fucking ground, guess what? You don't have that in your city anymore is what it is. Same thing with the Domino's franchise, dude. They burned down Domino's, they burned down Wendy's, they burned down Chick-fil-A, they burned down Popeyes, they burned down Arby's. Actually, there was a video I remember seeing back then of it was about 4 or 5 trainees running around, and they were fucking admitting to burning these places down, dude, and weren't arrested for that shit. And what's fucked up is you have that one small group doing all that arson is what it is, dude. And all they're doing is you're destroying a bunch of businesses that you're never going to have back in your communities ever again is what it is then. Because why would they? Why would they reinvest in those communities that literally torched their fucking businesses to the ground back then, dude? There's a reason why, 30 years ago, by the way, or wait, was it 30 years ago? 29 years ago. 31 years ago. Sorry, mine's tired right now. Getting pretty sleepy. 31 years ago, 92 LA race riots. You had a gas station. It was one of the first businesses back then to be burned to the fucking ground. In 31 years, that gas station still has yet to be rebuilt right now. Same thing with one of the liquor stores that was torched immediately after that. Never rebuilt because the people couldn't afford to. And why would they? Even if they had the money to rebuild, even if they had insurance money to rebuild and stuff, why would they rebuild in that area, dude? To have it burned down again, to have it looted again? Yeah, there's a reason for that kind of stuff, dude. There's a reason that people don't stick around when you destroy their fucking business because they've been hurt, obviously, that first time around. Why would you want to be hurt again? Why would you want to risk losing your business a second time to a bunch of fucking scumbag criminals? And then people want to sit here and bitch and moan about, like, oh, the GOP restricting rights by easing gun ownership in the state of Ohio, by easing who can carry a firearm without government restriction. Yeah, that's really taking away your freedoms, you stupid fucking cunt. I hate these fucking people so much, dude. These leftist people just, oh my god. Just take them and shake them, dude, for real. That's what they need. They just need a good old-fashioned shaking, man. Like a good old salt and pepper shaker. Just shake them up a little bit. Shake some sense into them is what it is, man. Seriously. Anyway. But, yeah, I think we're about done for the day, though. I got a couple things I got to do. Obviously, it's... What time is it? Yeah, almost 6:30 in the morning right now. I'm getting pretty sleepy. Sun's about to come up. You know, it is East Coast time. So, probably going to take a nap for at least the next 5 to 6 hours. Maybe a little bit longer, depending. I mean, I'm sure I'll set my alarm for various game-related stuff to get up at certain times and do a couple minutes. A piece for things. What is today? Saturday. I'll be on Honda's chat tomorrow, Sunday, for the Gay Frog chat. Most likely we'll be doing that as Rumble exclusive this time around because, as far as I'm aware, he got another strike the other day from a video that was like 2 months old or something. Because apparently YouTube is really hitting him now for stuff, which is ridiculous. And yeah, we'll be back at some point though. I might keep doing those small little gaming chats, maybe with audio, maybe without audio, where it's basically just me doing grabs and stuff and whatnot in game. Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I might do that actually here in a couple minutes. Now I'm thinking about it. Maybe just finish this one off and then start up a new one or something like that. If there's I'm gonna check my things because we just hit the 4-hour window where it would actually give me new stuff then to go collect. So if there's actually any, are the lost animal things there again, I might do that again. If there's not, I'm probably not gonna do it again though. But yeah, some of those are paying off though for real, man. Like that one last night where it was 5 animals in that one, and then the other one was like 3 or whatever, which is really good considering that's about. I'm trying to think how many you get normally. I think you get like 12 or 13 in the game for the daily stuff or whatever there. So yeah, when you're getting over half that in one shot, like that's fucking huge. And that definitely gets you further ahead real quick is what it is. So, but yeah, either way, like I said, I'm just sick and tired of leftists at this point, dude. I really am. I'm fucking over them. Fucking over the bullshit. They want to keep pushing. They want to keep fucking dividing this country. They want to keep fucking, changing the goalposts, moving the goalposts, pushing them back, pulling them forward, whatever it is. And people are finally having it. People are finally rightfully fighting back against it and calling it out for what it is and dealing with it accordingly, dude. Honestly, I'm going to say it like it is right now. I would love to see a country in the next 5 years where every state passes legislation, which might have to be just federal legislation at that point. I doubt it would ever pass federally though, but it would basically have to be like a red state kind of thing starting out or whatever then. And it would basically be something along the lines of, if you do not have direct ties to kids in the school system, whether it be a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, whatever the case be, where you would have to have either, a child, a grandchild, a niece, a nephew, whatever the case be in the system there. If you do not have a child in that school system, you cannot run for school board in that school system. And I think that right there would do a lot to fix the problems in this country right now, because there's a lot of leftist fuckers. And I know this for a fact, dude, because I've actually been seeing it for the past 4 to 5 years now. It's been talked about for about the last 6 or 7 years now. And I finally found out some stuff about 5 years ago, give or take, when I started running for office back then in various sort of failed candidacies is what it is, because I never really got off the ground with them at all any time is what it would be, except for this current one I'm on right now, which I'm definitely going to get off the ground at some point next year when I start for county commissioner then. And primarily that piece of shit Bill Smith then, once and for all. But anywho, so basically, the big thing is you had a bunch of people come out of the woodwork and talk about how when you look at a lot of these school boards nowadays, what you end up seeing is you will have these leftist people that want to be a career politician at some point down the road. You know, like they're basically kind of groomed at like younger ages, like, you know, late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, maybe at most, into like maybe early 30s. The latest is what it is then. And so they'll be having these people, you know, these Soros types, these Bloomberg types, et cetera, backing them financially in these races. And they'll be like, okay, you do us this favor and you'll, you know, get all this money for your campaign is what it is. And so they'll target these various vulnerable seats and stuff like that in these school boards, and they'll put in these raging leftist fucking nuts is what it is. And they'll, you know, placate them and pay all kinds of money to get them in office is what it is, you know, tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even $1 million maybe here or there. And what will happen is you will then have these school boards with these leftist nuts on them start passing all kinds of crazy shit like what we're seeing right now with all these books being banned and stuff like that, where they're allowing these child porn books and these transgender books and stuff like that in these school systems that shouldn't be, is what it is. And so what you end up having then is you have them, you know, sit on that school board for 2 years, 4 years, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. You know, whatever the term, whatever, how many terms it is or how long the term is, whatever it is. And then they'll progressively move them up is what it is. You know, like every time they get termed out or whatever the case be there, it'll be like, okay, you're going to go to the next level or the next level or next level. And so what you'll have is, you know, 10, 20 years from now, you'll end up having a person that started out as a school board member, you know, back in like 2012, 2014, whatever it is, 2018, 20, whatever, to, you know, 2030, 2035, something like that, will go from the school board to maybe a state rep or a state senator to maybe a governorship or maybe a federal congressional seat or a federal U.S. Senate seat or something. And so in that time span of that, you know, decade or so, they'll basically move up the ranks is what it is, from this little peon at the bottom to a very powerful position at the top is what it is. And it's something that needs to be stopped right now, dude. And it could easily be stopped by stopping these fuckers in their tracks to begin with, because first of all, when you actually look at these pieces of shit that are in these positions right now, 90% of them don't even have kids in these schools, dude. They are a bunch of fucking left-wing nut jobs who've had, you know, 5, 10, 20 abortions, whatever it is. And they hate kids, number two. So they've had a bunch of abortions, number one. They hate kids, number two. And they're perfectly fine with seeing these kids indoctrinated with their communist bullshit to be revolutionaries in the future. And so that's what they're being paid to be. They're being paid to be put on these boards to turn these future generations into little commie revolutionaries for them, dude. And that is the last damn thing that we need to allow happen in this country, dude, ever again. And unfortunately, for right now, the current generation is too late in most cases. The older Gen Zs and the mid Gen Zs, like the you know, let's go ahead and say 14 pluses right now, they're lost already, dude. It's the younger ones, the ones that potentially could be Generation Alpha, people like my niece, who are about 10. Those are the ones that we need to save right now. Those are the ones that we need to make sure have decent parents, have decent grandparents, aunts, uncles, etc., to be running these school boards for these kids' places, so that they know for a fact what these kids are being taught, how these kids are being taught, and being able to get rid of these fucking criminal scumbag indoctrinators that want to call themselves teachers, what it is, dude. And honestly, it starts exactly where I've talked about for years now, and what, of all people, Vivek Ramaswamy is now talking about for his presidential candidacy, which is banning teachers' unions nationwide at this point. Because that's where you deal with the shit, dude. You cut the fucking head off the goddamn snake and the snake dies. You deal with the fucking teachers' unions that are all a bunch of communist fucking scumbags like Randy Weingarten, who are heading these fucking places, dude, who locked our fucking country down for years of our lives, who kept these kids out of schools, who lied about it to Congress recently, who straight up forced these children to be regressed by at least 2 to 3 fucking years because of this shit. And you charge these fuckers criminally after you ban these teachers' unions for the crimes they've already committed against these generations of kids now. And we take this country back the right way is what it is. Never a shot having to be fired. Never any violence having to be done at all. You take them out and you charge them. You do away with the fucking things and you charge them criminally. And we put this country back to square one constitutionally. And the chessboard gets reset entirely. Constitutionalism wins. We have new curriculums in the school system that are all constitutional based. And we're able to have these kids of younger generations now have a better education system entirely. And whether that be with school choice, whether that be with public funding for public schooling, but without indoctrinating pieces of shit that call themselves teachers that are sitting there pushing BLM and progressive pride flags in schools and in their various classrooms and stuff, and telling these kids to pledge allegiance to some gay pride flag, like that piece of shit. And I think it was, I want to say it was one of the left coast states. She actually got fired for that, thank God. All of them should be, dude. There should be permanent blackballing education in this country entirely with these fucking people. And if they're not charged criminally, then there needs to be a big ass asterisk by the fucking name, dude, that just says this person did X, Y, and Z. Never allow them to be around children in any kind of future employment ever again. So, treat them like the sexual predators they are, because that's what they are, dude, at the end of the day. But anyway, like I said, though, that's about where we're at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed my rantings and ravings for about the last hour and a half almost. Like I said, I'll be back for another one. Not sure when exactly. Might be tomorrow, might be later today, might be fucking Monday for all fucking know. Might be after Honda's chat on Sunday night into Monday morning. All depends. Thankfully, brother's not here for the weekend, so I can actually do stuff this weekend for a couple days. And then I'll be back. Like I said, I'll be back at some point here. I'll probably do one tomorrow, actually, now I'm thinking about it. So, or maybe it will be later tonight, I'm not sure. It'll either be today or it'll be probably Sunday sometime before he gets back, and then we'll do some other stuff then is what it'll be. So, but yeah, other than that, like I said, it's ridiculous to watch these fucking leftists basically be like, oh, they're restricting freedoms, and then what they call freedoms are basically killing kids in the womb, having gun rights actually be given back to the people with constitutional carry and stuff, and then talking about like cuts to like various social programs that they shouldn't have to begin with what it is. So yeah, just fucking ridiculous, dude, entirely. So stupid. And that's the problem with people, dude, that don't understand the term freedom at all. And obviously are these progressive leftists that want to keep voting Democrat every day of their life and then wonder why their cities that they're living in are so crime-ridden hellholes and Democrat hell pockets that you have a very high likelihood of just dying in them from various gang violence, they want to call gun violence, from various people just doing a drive-by on some random person that's a fucking valet at some place, and then 10 people get fucking shot in the mix or whatever, dude, with a fucking gun that has an illegal Glock switch on it, stuff like that, et cetera, which, by the way, was all criminal shit at that point, and you can't legally have those switches unless you want to have what? Actually, I'm not even sure if you can have one with a tax stamp. Now I'm thinking about it. I think they're just legal without even, because they're like a Chinese made thing, or whatever. So I have to look into that actually if that be the case. But I know in order to have full auto though in this country, you actually have to have a tax stamp, which is unconstitutional itself because it directly violates the Second Amendment Constitution, is what it is. And that's why we need to get rid of the FA now, after almost 90 years now. 87 years of tyranny is what it is now. So, or wait, is it 87 years or 89 years? 1934. No, it would be 89 years. That's right. Yeah, it would be 89 years. Yeah, 87 would have been 2021. So, yep, 89 years of tyranny right now. And way past time to get rid of that shit, dude, and be done with it. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Something does happen and this doesn't end up being up for, X amount of time or whatever. YouTube wants to hit this with a strike or something like that because they're, douchebags like that. Check out Led Lacy Anarchy's channel. That'll be a backup for us at some point in the future. Nothing else. We'll probably go back to Rumble at some point as well. Obviously can't do live streams on there because we're not going to pay the money is what it is. And you can't directly go there with StreamYard and stuff like that. So most likely it'll end up being something where it'll just be like a pre-recorded thing, and then I'll just throw it up there like a little bit after that. And obviously because of that, I have to do, smaller ones that are like maybe 15 minutes or so at a time, and then maybe even multiple parts of the same thing or something like that, where it's basically just like stream slicing and stuff like that. So anyways, until later, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.